I call order Belville Board of Commissioner regular meeting, 6:30 p.m. Monday, October 25th, 2020. If we can stand for the invocation of the pledge of allegiance. 26. Most gracious Lord, we want to ask the Lord to give us the ability to make the right decisions for our town, Lord. We ask it in the most precious name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Welcome everybody this evening. It's nice to see that many people in the room. I hope everybody's safe, the families are safe. Those are the coronavirus and trying to see what's going on with that. They said they was spiked, I think, in some places in the virus. But thankfully, they have a lot of cures now coming online. And I just hope the death rate goes down very fast. But looking at the agenda under item 3, approval of agenda, commissioners have an opportunity to look at the agenda. Any changes from the commissioner? I know about mine. Okay, it's not on that. We do have to add one addition to it. That will be under old business, which will mark that as 8D. Ms. Harrington, they can give an update. But if you don't have a problem with that, can I have a motion that we set the agenda with the change? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. Okay, moving to item 4, consent agenda. Consent agenda, all items on consent agenda are considered routine and being acted by one motion without discussion. If a member of the governing body requests discussion of the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. If the commission had an opportunity to look at the consent agenda and then change or anything be removed, that I have a motion to accept the consent agenda as is. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. On the public comments, see nobody has signed up. Would anybody like to make any comments? If not, I'm gonna have to open it up and then we won't have to close it. Okay, moving on to item 6. Under item 6, we have the pleasure tonight of having our county manager here, Mr. Randall. Well, Ms. Wood, if you don't mind, I'd like to tell the people here a little bit about you. Sure. He served as county manager of Brunswick County in October 2019. Willis has led a career dedicated to state and local government service and has particular experience in managing coastal North Carolina county governments. He previously served as county manager of Pender County from 2015 to 2019, Beaufort County from 2011 to 2015, and Camden County from 2003 to 2011. Before joining the Brunswick County team, he began his career with the North Carolina Division of Adult Probation and Parole, and previously served as Director of Youth and Family Services for Lee County, North Carolina. Thank you, Ms. Willis, for being here tonight. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. It's nice to be with you and council members. It's good to meet everybody. Last year when I started, I've actually been here a year now, but when I started last year, we had gone through the list of our 19 municipalities in the county and had actually made an appointment here with Ms. Williams to come and meet you all back in, I guess, March or April. And then when the pandemic hit, we had to put those plans on hold, and we were just now getting ready to try to start up the rest of those meetings to meet the rest of the town officials. But I'm glad to be here, and hopefully now, I mean, things I think have calmed down a little bit, but as you said, we are, case numbers are going up again in the pandemic. I think we've learned a lot at the county level. You know, we've got to live with this. We can't shut down everything. We have pulled back in a lot of ways, but we're trying to be smart about it. With the county government, we've been extremely fortunate. We've had a handful of cases among our staff, but we've got about 1,200 staff now, and I don't think that's too bad when you have that large of a staff. But we've been very careful in trying to make sure we're smart, working with the public and social distancing, wearing masks in our offices when we're in meetings, and having as many not live meetings as possible, doing them virtually online, and that we've got really used to that, as everybody has. You know, you can, nowadays it's not unusual to have 3 or 4 or 5 virtual meetings a day, you know, with different organizations and different with your staff members or whoever. So I think we survived through the process quite well, but again, I don't think it's different from having live meetings, and I do hope at some point, maybe late next year, we'll be able to get back to having live meetings again. Of course, we've learned a lot of things during this period that, well, there's some things that maybe are quicker and easy to get them out of the way, just do them virtually. I think that's sometimes, some organizations you don't need to have a live meeting, but I think internally when you communicate with your staff and department heads, a lot of times it helps to have live meetings. So we've had a good experience so far, but I think we've done as well as about anybody. I think in this county, in southeastern part of the state, we have not shut down totally the way some other areas are having to do. You know, all you have to do is look across the state. There are many counties and municipalities that haven't had a live meeting since March or April. But they're all their board meetings are being held virtually. So, I mean, that's good in some ways, but in other ways, I think it's important for boards and for county staff to be able to work together in person. But sometimes you have to do what you have to do. So I think we've accomplished what we need to, but hopefully we will be able to get back to our live meetings. But as other things, the county has been extremely busy. As you all know, we're got some major infrastructure projects going on right now with about $160 million water plant expansion project that's underway now, construction. We also have a rather large wastewater project over here, not too far from the wall, that's underway. That's a really impressive project. I was over there a few weeks ago, and it's a lot of major work over there. And getting ready to look at doing the same thing with our other wastewater plant that serves the western end of the county. So that'll be coming on in the next couple of years too. So just a lot going on. We're doing some work right, looking at evaluating our complex there in Bolivia. You know, I think the county government has been very smart to have that complex of all of our, pretty much all of our departments co-located with the exception of utilities. And it's very efficient and effective for the public taxpayers to come in there to conduct business. But it's growing so much. I mean, on any given day, we'll have 2,000 or 3,000 people in that complex. When you add in the workers, the people in the courthouse coming to court, just people conducting business in general. So we're doing a study now on that complex to try to evaluate. We need another access road coming in, you know, from on the property, things like that. There's a lot of traffic management even goes in studying that facility. So that's something else we're working on, and just a lot of things, you know, working with the different municipalities on issues that they have. We've been working a lot with, I'm sure you've seen, we're working with Southport on some of their utility issues as well, and others as well. So, but overall, it's been a busy year. I told somebody the other day, I've just been here a year, but it's in some ways it seems like 3 or 4 years. It's been so much going on, you know. So we're lucky to have the growth we have here with the tourism business and the retirement community business that we have. So many counties would give anything to have what we call what our problems that we challenges that we have. You know, we're blessed to have the growth, just built-in growth. Construction. I mean, most people would think, well, you know, when you have a pandemic or the economy slows down like it has, that that things would come to a screeching halt with construction, but instead it's done the reverse. Our building permits are up about over 20% right now from what they were a year ago. So, things are going good, we're blessed, and, you just have to look just next door almost to some of our neighboring governments are really struggling now with things, revenues declining. And we just have not had that happen. So when we rolled in the budget process back in May, we had to pull back because we didn't know what we might find in what position we might find ourselves in. So we did pull back and really maintain the same budget that we had the previous year and actually reduced it about $300,000. But that's unheard of in Brunswick County to have the same budget 2 years in a row. But I'm sure this coming budget cycle will, depending on how the economy is, we'll probably have to make more of it, have a little bit of growth. Overall, I think it's done good, and I've been thankful that things didn't go when I got here. It's hard to get blamed for all that, but it's been a very good experience. I mean, really working with the board of commissioners in the county, and they're all very dedicated, as you all are.
I'll add to it, our county, we've got 19 municipalities in the county, most of the state.
Yes.
Most of them are small, but most of them have a great working relationship with the county. They haven't been always there on the voice, 5%. Parker, Wilson, project, always been a good thing. Fire situation we have with personnel on that, keep us updated. Meetings, so the phones are always open. We need to get information. But thank you for that. I know we have to set that information for any time. The work relationship we have with the county. And then always better when we have partnerships. And you're trying to go your own way. It's a collective thing, and I think this virus has to be a collective process to solve.
The county has really been blessed to have quality and caliber of staff, department heads that we have here, whether it's utilities, emergency management, finance, building inspections, all of that. Our folks are top notch and leaders in this region. So we really have been lucky. Emergency management, all of that. And the public health people and the emergency management folks have really worked together. And that's all summer long, pandemic, and then had the hurricane as well. So they just actually, just a couple of weeks ago, shut down the public health portion that we do relative to our EMC. So hopefully, I'm concerned about we'll have another hurricane this year. In fact, we don't. But
Louisiana, Gulf, get ready to get it.
Yeah, we've been blessed, but they really have that.
Again, like the mayor's here, we have meetings, communicate with the county and Parker, Mayor's Association. So when I look at the working relationship we have here in this county, it means a lot to the mayor. But we feel like we have a true partner. We have issues, we all take those issues to support us. That's always a major thing. I wish you luck. We could be any support on that they pick up on.
One more thing I would point out to you while I'm here, something that we're going to try to do next summer. We didn't want to do it this year with the pandemic going on. Next year, hopefully, we're going to try to have start an annual get together for all the municipalities, towns, and county government leadership to come together annually at part educational, part social, just for everyone to have dinner together, socialize a little bit, and maybe have a workshop as part of that. And where we bring together 19 towns, the county has got to be involved and know what each town is interested in, what y'all needs are. So I think it's a good way for us to be able to do that. Most counties do that. But I've never worked in a county that had 19 towns in it, so I think it's even more important here for us to make sure we know what everybody is interested. Thank y'all for letting me come, and then you got other things to talk about.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. I hope we get to sit down and talk. I'll try to teach you. You're not busy today, so go down and sit down with the chat. Any commissioners have any comments for this?
Thank you.
Yeah, over 1,000 square miles, Fort Myers County, in North Carolina, and you really have done a massive job just keeping everything moving in our direction. So, thank you for your leadership.
Thank you. And, yeah, I've been blessed. You couldn't come to it. I know all of y'all do Ann Hardy, of course, and following somebody like Ann Hardy in your job, that's a great for anybody. She is an amazing person herself, and really made my job easier. And having a problem with people, and has been very successful over the years, hiring good people and taking care of them, having excellent benefit package and everything. And that's what you have to do nowadays when you got people next door trying to recruit people around. So I think good enough and prepare for this. Thank y'all. Have a good night.
Thank you, sir. Okay, moving on, under 6B, we'd like to express our gratitude and appreciate the members of Hawkwater neighborhood for their assistance in removing damaged boat ramp from the river walk. Jim, you want to make a few comments about the people that helped you before we start with them?
Sure. I reached out to Chris Fisher. He's helped me a few times in the park. He has a dump trailer, and he's like the mayor in our little Hawkswater. He knows everybody. So he reached out to a couple guys in our neighborhood. They all came down and helped us take out the damaged boat dock. Chris helped out a few times in the park, like I said, and he's the one that donated the gutters on the farmer's market. Really good guy. So we appreciate his help with everything he does.
I remember, I had to tell them that, but we have one plaque for each person.
They have everybody.
Okay, so I'm just gonna read. Let me read this resolution, get approved first, and I'll put it down. Okay, resolution 20-29, a resolution expressing gratitude, appreciation to the friends of the River and Belville for their assistance in removing the boat ramp damaged by hurricane. I always terrible saying his name. Isis, whatever it is. Whereas on the evening of August 3rd, 2020, a tornado resulting from Hurricane Isis moved through the Belville, caused significant widespread damage. Uprooted trees, destroyed anything in path, and created havoc in the region of the Brunswick River at Belville, where the boat ramp dock at the Brunswick River was severely damaged by the storm. Given Hurricane Isis caused the ramp to break apart and was destroyed and damaged beyond repair. Whereas after the storm, the remaining pieces of the ramp was unstable, unusable, and the town desired it to be removed. And whereas our park director, Jim Butcher, was able to mobilize friends from his neighborhood who donated manpower and vehicles to move and haul away the remains of the boat ramp. Therefore, be resolved that the Belville Board of Commissioners adopt the resolution hereby expressing gratitude and appreciation to Jim Butcher, Chris Fisher, Josh Bergman, Terry Denise, Al Lowen, Max.
Master Java.
Good job.
I'll help you with that
Thank
one.
you. I hate to mispronounce names. And all from the Hawkwater neighborhood for providing disaster assistance following the storm and for giving back and providing service to the Brunswick River Walk at Belville and the community adopted this 26th day of October 2020. Signed Mayor Mike Allen, Mayor of Town of Belville. Any comments from any of the commissioners before I hand these out?
No, I'd just like to say thank you. I mean, without community involvement within this small town, we would really be struggling to get some things accomplished. So, it's always great to see people stepping up and helping out. So thank you very, very much.
Thank thank you each for the difference that you made. Jim, thank you for your leadership, you know, and certainly liaison to the town, and to the ladies and gentlemen that made this possible. We could not do it without you, as the mayor president said. Thank you.
Okay, if all y'all could come up and stand near the podium.
We need to annex
I'd
them to
like
Belville.
to make a motion to approve. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, really got good.
Our protocol official tonight. You got it right.
Thank you.
One of the guys tonight.
Not good. I thank all of you. Thank you. Thank you. It shows you commitment to the community, the sacrifice and service. If y'all could get, where we get a little picture. I know we're not social distancing, so I don't think we got a big problem. Yeah.
You smile?
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Like, are you gonna take, that'd be fine. Thank
Thank
y'all,
you,
guys.
brother. Appreciate y'all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I know the list before we finished up my comments, but you know, when we look at things, anytime that we have disasters of any type or shape, you know, it boils down to really about community. And it's about helping each other and supporting each other when these things happen. And we hope, and from what I've seen from our neighborhoods when a tornado hits, no matter what happens, there's people helping people. And that's what it's about. It's nice to see during a hurricane, a tornado, whatever disaster happens, people always stepping up and helping their fellow persons and people in their communities. And that's a great thing. So we'll move on. Okay, under item 6, if I got. I'm not gonna let me skip where I need to be. I think C, correct?
Yes.
That's where we're at. William Long, and come up, he was got project group 26. Mr. Long has graciously supported our town in so many endeavors and projects. All I can do is thank you. The floor is yours, sir.
Good evening, my name is Will Long, and this is my Eagle Scout project proposal. So my project is a blessing box, and what it's designed to do is provide food and non-perishable items for people that are in need. And the goal is to just leave an impact on this community in a positive light. And I believe that there are a lot of people in this area that would benefit from having a blessing box. So my steps as of now, this past January, I got it approved for my troop and scoutmaster. And then in February of this year, I got it approved by the missions committee for Wesley Methodist Church. And this is where I originally had planned to do it. However, the pandemic occurred in March of 2020, and along with a new pastor and new staff coming in June, and the church remaining closed, we have decided to make the transition to coming to Town of Belville. And we made arrangements to pick up the blessing box from Mount Airy High School in July of this year.
Any questions from commission?
I think we got some more slides.
So my next steps is I'm requesting permission to build this here at the Brunswick River Wall. I've had my dad, some scout volunteers, and maybe even some of you could assist me in this construction. I will supply all the materials and everything else that goes in the blessing box. The current proposed location, I put some talks with Christina over there, and we decided that right next to the farmer's market, will be the best area. And we can also work with the Parks and Rec for determining the best location.
Now,
And that is it. You have any questions?
where are some current, you have some current locations of where these are located at all? Are any of the projects have been done locally, or will this be the first in the area?
I do not know of any in the general area. The one where I was introduced to this was in that area, North Carolina, because I'm at Greenhouse High School. And throughout that summer, I helped supply it, manage it, and pretty much run it. And that inspired me to bring one down here.
Any comments?
I think it's a great idea. The only question I have, I saw that said that food, non-perishable food, and it's had concern about food being out there. Unfortunately, we have had a great track record. Using things to fish. So, I'd be interested to see what it says. I didn't know if it might not be a better location, kind of here close to town. We can manage it. I think it's a fantastic idea.
Whatever works best is what we would do.
And we're making fun of your bad.
Any other comment?
I think it's a great innovative idea that I haven't seen in our area, that I agree with the mayor pro tem. Maybe the park may not be the best option. I'm sure we can find a place in the town to put it, but we may want to look somewhere else. But I'm all for you doing the project.
I'm for it too. Like I say, we go, we'll talk with the Park and Rec board, we'll let you do that. So that, then we can work out where we could. So I think that's, anything you want to say, Commissioner?
Briefly, no, it does sound like a very good idea. I am curious, if you have any idea, in other places where these do exist, like in that area, who monitors it as far as, checking on the different items that are left and making sure that they're not there too long, that sort of thing?
So at Grandma's school, they have someone that is assigned that. So every morning they will go and they will check to see as like inventory, and then they will replenish as necessary. And with me being here as a part-time employee, that can be part of my job to make sure that that is good.
Sure, I'll go ahead and read this resolution in support of it. Resolution by the Belville Board of Commissioners supporting William Long's Eagle Scout project. Where the Boy Scouts of America vital force and development of our youth through its many programs which encourage the ability of its members to do things for themselves and especially for others. And whereas one of the major objectives in the scouting program is to develop citizenship through community involvement, and scouts are encouraged to participate in community service projects and earn citizenship merit badges. And whereas William Long has proven himself to be an outstanding member of the Boy Scouts of America, is striving to obtain the highest honor bestowed on the scout, the Eagle Scout Award. And whereas the Eagle Scout is a distinction that will follow him throughout life and will be a beacon to others of the leadership quality and commitment that this young man has shown. Now therefore be resolved that the Belville Board of Commissioners support William Long's Eagle Scout project, encourage him to continue his commitment to excellence, adopted this 26th day of October 2020. I have a motion to accept the resolution.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. Long. We look forward to it.
And to ask, or to add, congratulations to the program. You know, one of the ways maybe you will stop. It's a huge commitment. Says a lot about your character. So congratulations to that.
Thank you. Thank you guys.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. And he's been a valuable asset to the town. And I know the town manager enjoyed him being here as well as we do, because he supports us a lot. Okay, moving on to item 7, public hearing for the purpose of consideration action on proposed text amendment to Article 3. Article 3 definition terms, and 6 use and structure of the zone ordinance in order to establish regulations regarding mobile food use within the town. And let's see, who we got to speak on that? Yeah, we can go in
So what I just handed you is a copy of the rules from the North Carolina Administrative Code that relates to the proposed text amendments that we're looking at related to mobile food units. So the planning board has reviewed proposed text amendments for mobile food units, also known, commonly referred to as food trucks. So the proposed text amendments in your packets, it's a conglomeration of text from Wilmington, Raleigh, and Cary, as well as the North Carolina General Statutes and the North Carolina Administrative Code, NCAC. If you flip through in your packet, you'll come across the Article 3 new definitions. Just 2 new definitions there. One for mobile food unit, and this language is copied directly from the North Carolina Administrative Code. A mobile food unit is defined as a food establishment or push cart designed to be readily moved and vend food. And then a push cart is a subcategory of the mobile food unit. That's a mobile piece of equipment or vehicle used to vend food. This is a really generic definition. That was part of the reason I handed you the copy of the NCAC code. It says in here that basically the push carts, if you look in the middle of the page here, it's section 2671 of the handout I just gave you, specific requirements for push carts. That first section A basically gets at what the push carts are for. It says only hot dogs shall be prepared, handled, or served from a push cart. So you got the typical mobile food units, or what you might think of as a food truck, and then as a subcategory, a smaller category where you got the push carts that are only allowed to do hot dogs. So those are the 2 new definitions. And then if you flip through the next couple pages in your packet, you'll see the actual meat of the proposed text is all in Article 6. We've created a new section in there, 6326, called mobile food units. And this describes all the requirements that the planning board discussed, put in place for mobile food units. So running through those pretty quickly. Number 1 there is about permits. Letter A gets at each mobile food unit is going to have to get a permit through the town that will be valid for 6 months. And then B gets at, in addition to that 6-month permit, every mobile food unit would also have to get the approval of a temporary use permit, also known within town staff as a special event permit. That comes from Article 22 in the ordinance. So that would be used for every location that the mobile food unit plans to operate. So Section A gets at they're required to get a permit just generically for the town to operate a food truck within the town. That would be valid for 6 months, and then they get the temporary use permit for every single location they want to operate at. Section BI, the applicant for all such permits shall affirm that all propane tanks to be used shall have a certification date in accordance with federal and state law. In other words, those propane tanks are not expired. That comes from a good bit of discussion that the planning board had related to fire suppression requirements. It's somewhat surprising to learn that these mobile food units don't come under the jurisdiction of the fire code, because that's for buildings. So within the state of North Carolina, there's not much of any requirements in terms of fire suppression for these mobile food units. So after a good bit of discussion, one of the main things that we looked at was the propane tank certification dates. There's a pretty infamous fire that occurred in Philadelphia in July of 2017 that resulted in a lot of work by many organizations, and that fire was due to an exploding propane tank that didn't have a pressure relief valve and was dated 1948. So That would be illegal to use in the state of North Carolina. Actually, anywhere, the propane tank certification dates. If you look at any propane tank you use for your grill or whatever at home, there's a date on there that you're not supposed to use it past that date unless it's been recertified. Those requirements come from DOT, Department of Transportation, actually the federal side of things, so not straight from North Carolina. So to prevent that type of explosion, we just reiterate in this ordinance that those propane tanks need to be have the right certification date. That's a law anyway, we put it in this ordinance, and this DEI specifically makes it so that the applicant for these mobile food unit permits is going to put on the application that they affirm that the propane tanks they're using are within the certification date. So if there is ever any problem, the town can go back to them and say, well, you said your tanks were in date, so that's something to fall back against the issue. Moving on to number 2, all mobile food units must obtain the applicable permits from the applicable regulatory authority. And I referenced that 15A NCGC section handed to you. That's what lays out all of the sanitation requirements for these mobile food units. That's really all that North Carolina has in terms of requirements for mobile food units, sanitation requirements. Just like any other restaurant, you've got to get a permit to operate and supply food to the public. And typically, that we use the phrase applicable regulatory authority. That's essentially Brunswick County in this case. There are cases where the mobile food unit might be coming from across another county, and from our research, those counties work together in terms of maybe the permit is in Hanover County, and they work with Brunswick County to make sure they have the right permits to operate in Brunswick County. Number 3, certificate of insurance is required for the operation of the mobile food unit. Number 4, the mobile food unit needs the signed approval of the property owner for each location where they operate. That approval must be made available for inspection upon request. That's there because a lot of these mobile food units, it's not that they're operating on their own property, so they will need the permission of the property owner to operate on their property. And this just forces them to have a signed approval. That's evidence that they have approval from that property owner. Number 5, the hours of operation are limited to 6 a.m. and 3 a.m. However, they can't be open in the dead of night between 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. They're forced to close down at a certain point. Number 6, mobile food units cannot be located within 75 feet of the main entrance of the nearest restaurant during the restaurant's posted hours of operation, unless allowed by the restaurant property owner. And that comes from a lot of local municipalities have similar rules, not trying to burden a restaurant owner with a mobile food unit that can just come right by their door and steal business, so to say. So that's what that is trying to protect against. Number 7, we have here mobile food units shall be located no less than 10 feet from any building. Mobile food units shall be located no less than 5 feet from any fire hydrant, sidewalks, utility boxes, and handicap ramps. The exception being that the required sidewalk setback does not apply to push carts less than 5 feet in length. In other words, if you're a small push cart, you can be closer to the sidewalk a little bit. I just noted that 10 feet from any building, that was another subject of discussion in terms of fire suppression and fire safety requirements. I don't remember when we look into. Flipping the page, number 8, the mobile food unit operators are responsible for disposal of waste. They shall remove all waste and trash prior to leaving each location. The usage of town trash receptacles, potable water, and electricity, all those town uses will be specified in the temporary use permit. special events permit. So if they're going to use the town's electricity, for example, that would be specified in each individual special event permit. Number 9, all equipment, including trash receptacles and signage, must be within 3 feet of the mobile food unit. Just trying to keep their stuff pretty close to them, not sprawling out with all their stuff. Number 10, no fire lanes with vehicular access ways, pedestrian walkways may be obstructed when approached upon by the mobile food unit. That one seems pretty obvious, just keeping them away from those important pieces of infrastructure. 11, no amplified microphones or bullhorns can be used. 12, these food units cannot occupy parking spaces required to fulfill the minimum requirements of a principal use, unless the hours of operation of the principal use do not coincide with those of the mobile food unit. That's basically getting at, for example, say there's a restaurant that's allowing a mobile food unit to come in and be on their property. If that restaurant is required to have 10 parking spaces based on their size, based on the town's ordinance, and they only have 10 parking spaces, they can't then have the mobile food unit come and take up that 10th space, because then they wouldn't have their minimum required spaces. So that's what that's getting at. Number 13. It's unlawful for any person to establish a location upon any public street, sidewalk, right-of-way, plaza, park, or town-owned or leased property. Basically getting at the fact that these food units can't set up on a public area or a town lot unless they're allowed to do so through the special use permit or the special events permit. And lastly, 14, suspension or revocation permit. The permit for the mobile food unit can be revoked if they violate any of the provisions that we just read through. And the town manager can revoke the permit if they determine that the mobile food unit vendor's operations are causing parking, traffic congestion, litter problems, etc. So just having provisions in there to make it clear how that permit can be revoked if needed. So that's that. I'll take any questions or comments.
Yeah, I have a comment. That's my seat. When I saw this, I know there's been some issues with food carts or food trucks, and I want to make sure, have ordinance that matches, meets all the same requirements. So I reached out to the fire marshal's office in Wilmington, I know a couple of captains there, and talked to them about this. In fact, I talked to the captain that's responsible for actually inspecting fire trucks. The first thing I was kind of amazed to find out is that the health department regulates this, not the fire department. I also found out that the fire department has some serious concerns that they can't update their codes for about 5 years. So I asked him what his recommendations would be if he had the opportunity to write this ordinance now. His recommendations were the food truck should be about 20 feet from each building. That the food truck should be 20 feet from each other, and that the generator should be at least 10 feet from the food trucks. As part of the safety protocol.
I'll agree with that.
So I would like to see that.
And staff does support that, Mayor Pro Tem, if you would allow us, I'd like to play just a quick video that would illustrate what you're talking about.
Jeff, my question was on the hours. How was the 6 a.m. to 3 a.m. garage?
I think that language comes from Wilmington's ordinance. Maybe that we can reduce that down a bit, but that's where that comes from.
Yeah.
Well, then, hold on. Jeff, how would this affect, if at all, the process that's been in place? There's been special events in the park, we've had food trucks and vendors in there. So they
Yeah.
completely replace that.
Essentially, yes. Meant to address that on the front end.
And this right.
Also, you brought up the CAC 2671, specific requirements for food trucks. To be clear, we're not necessarily adopting that, right? That's not included in this.
They have this.
No, but it's part of North Carolina rules, so it is, it will apply ultimately. You're not adopting that language, but the push carts and the mobile food units that are going to be allowed through this ordinance are governed by this language.
Reasonable hours, providing credentials, et cetera.
I thought I was hearing another voice in 2 years.
Make a plan, order, make sure your friends, family, co-workers, members, because this is part of our responsibility as a Congress.
Look at the video out of Eugene, Oregon, as a man sitting in church says he could feel the building shake. Well, a food truck parked outside exploded.
St. Mary's kind of rocked a little bit while we were in mass. But we knew it was loud and we really didn't, then we heard fire engines after that, so we had no idea what was going on.
So fire officials think the blast could have been caused by a gas line malfunctioning, but they still have to look into that. Nobody's injured. The explosion, though, blew down the door of a nearby bar and somehow caused the bar taps to spew beer everywhere.
Most of y'all have been around explosives at all and understand how explosives work. A 40-pound propane tank or larger will create a huge explosion with a lot of force in excess of probably 60 to 75 feet. I'm talking about a force that can hurt you and project objects, metal, and everything else explodes around it. But there are problems that are serious about, like I say, the inspection date that these people are inspecting when they come over here. Of course, it's so. I'm not wrong, Jim. I know this. They have to be certified by the health people. I know that. Do food. You know, most states, a lot of states have concern with propane tanks. You know, most of us don't think that much about it because a lot of us use it when we're doing outdoor cooking, but they can be very deadly. If that happens, that picture shows what can happen when one explodes. So I guess it's just make sure that we do the inspections and we do check them out, that the tanks are certified. They don't do something wrong.
And we have an additional.
Yeah, and that's simple enough to where I think we can.
I think we're lucky on one aspect. You know, a lot of we have food trucks. I think in some of our events, we had 2 or 3 maybe one time. I believe in some of our events, we might want to be a little bit more concerned about how close they were together. Like the ordinance addresses that, whether we modify that or look in, like you said, talk over the fire chief. Fire people are gonna have a lot more concerns about the area that they can damage if they do explode or something goes wrong. So I didn't know that either. I didn't know the health department controlled all that.
I'm curious, this is for anybody, does anybody know whether the suggestion that was brought up that generators be 10 feet from the trucks, is that something that is feasible? I know a lot of the trucks carry the generators on the back of the truck. Is that something that they are prepared to take it off the truck when they're running them? Is that regularly occurring? Does anybody know?
Apparently, that's what we're asking. Yeah.
The generators that are on those are mobile generators unless they're specifically built as part of the vehicle. And like a PTO driven generator, and then obviously, but the portable generators could be listed on the road somewhere else. And generators are notorious for catching fire.
Like you said, now some of those trucks and mechanisms, they built into it, they're not mobile. But they're also supposed to have precautions to help prevent fires. Whereas, like a portable generator bolted up to the back or bolted up to the vehicle inside needs to be away from the unit.
I think the whole concern is that some of those generators can
Wire.
propane on that. Separate.
Is that covered? There's a lot in the ordinance that have to look at. I know, like I say, if they come with the unit and they build into it, precautions have been taken, and you can't take them out strongly. And those are attached to the vehicle, if they, if a mobile generator, then they should be removed. So like,
I think what a lot of them have is they're even attached to the trucks themselves. They have the backup generator. It's a requirement that we're trying to get them to do. It's not. Too much.
no, I agree with you on that. I'm just saying there might be a possibility one where if they want to came with the unit built in that has a safety stuff on there for them. It's something we'll have to get used to inspecting, a little checking. Any other comments or questions or, were we asking for some modifications on the current ordinance that's up for reference?
Yes, sir, and don't forget to open the public hearing.
Okay, I just wanted to get our piece cleared up.
One other thing also, I just thought, just to be clear again, this would cover food trucks and use anywhere within the town limits, correct?
Yes.
Right. Just to make sure, certainly that, this is passed and enacted, that, neighborhood of Hawkswater is well aware since they already have food trucks there.
Okay, now we'll go ahead and open up, have a motion, open up the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Anybody want to make any comments on the amendments to the ordinance? If I'm silence is good. I could have a motion, we close the open session. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Thank y'all. And do we, I can't remember doing it though. Mayor Pro Tem, if you have any changes in the ordinance or
Other than adding this one, 20 feet from the food trucks themselves.
do we need to wait till that happens before we?
No, sir, we can just change the numbers
With
and
those
the.
exceptions, with that exception. Okay, go ahead and see if we can get a motion on ordinance 2020-09, ordinance amending Article 6 of the zoning ordinance with the changes that the Mayor Pro Tem wanted. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. I think we need a consistency statement also. Consistency statement for the Belville Board of Commissioners review of text amendments to the zoning ordinance. I have a motion to accept the consistency statement.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Thank y'all for that.
Thank you.
Let's see, where am I at? All right, old business, update on the Brunswick Riverwalk project, upcoming events, reflections on the driving movie night. We want to make some comments on that, Madam Manager, since you were there, you want to make some comments?
Thank you. The Parks and Recreation Board, along with the Park Director, did an outstanding job on the movie night. It was our first time, and we did have a few quirks that we had to work out for the next event. But I think overall, most of the citizens were happy to come out. And we will continue to make sure that we fine tune everything. And we are very considerate of the governor's orders in the future.
Any comments from commissioners?
Yeah, I made a suggestion to town manager, maybe you'll understand this in emergency management. After action reports, after something, just to kind of put, what we did good, what we can improve, and what steps we could take.
Yes.
It just has, something we can look at this tangible, and next steps for improving the project. I,
And we will be providing that to the Parks and Rec Board at their next meeting.
I think, as we always get down, traffic control can always be a headache. Which, I find out why I don't like directing traffic. You know, always love when people try to run me down on the road, it makes me feel good. Realize I can actually move faster than I think I can. But, they also get a, nice little chat from me. But I think overall, the composition, what we're trying to do is good for what the environment we're trying to do here in the town. You know, it's the first time we've done it, but it's nice. I think I had a talk with town manager today. She will address any issues we have, like the Mayor Pro Tem said, after action review, you get to see some of the issues we brought to the Parks and Rec Board. It's not only if you have problems, but also what's good about it, what we can do to improve it, and how we go forward in the future to make sure that we get better. I think in today's environment with the virus and everything that's going on, it's a good idea to have these type of events for your community. They may like it, you know, we may get to go to the movies if it works out right, and we don't have any major issues. Maybe some events we want to offer, say once a month or whatever, have a movie in the park. It's a good break for people, especially after this year, and after the first year, there's some restrictions, and they still have this virus to get families out there to stay in their cars and watch a movie. And so maybe something we'll look at. See what we know. Any other comments?
Yes, we'd like to thank you for traffic.
Did we get a count, total number of people or vehicles?
There were 89 cars, and being there camping out to every single car, there was between 35 people in most of the cars, so.
And how many parking places do we have?
6, I think. Yeah.
That's great. And I heard good comments, regular comments on Facebook. Good first effort.
And like I say, there'll be a few people in it, and please everybody on the same time.
I knew that going into it. I knew that going into it, couldn't keep everybody happy.
But, you know, for the first time, I think it went well. We addressed some issues we thought we had. But overall, people showed up, watched the movie, and we identified problems. That's what you have to do, especially the first time you do it. You don't have some issues. Nobody got hurt, nobody went home. Also, for a few couple cars trying to run me down, everything went fine. Well, I don't think they'll ever do that again. But I didn't get to see the movie, but other than that, thank you, sir. Okay, thank you, Jen. Laura, thank y'all, thank Carl, for my other good thing. Thank you for putting that on. Hopefully, you know, maybe you have Christmas. See where it goes. Make it better.
My only concern with the Christmas one is there are 1,500 people at our Christmas tree lighting. We can only get like 100 cars in there, so keep that in mind.
Yeah, that'll be something that'll be interesting. Okay, moving on to 8B, update on street repairs, drainage repairs, South Old Town Line. Steve, you want to handle that?
Sure. I'll walk you through the report that I provided. So the town asked me to go look at a sinkhole that was discovered on South Old Town Line. It's a good bit down the road. It's in front of 10101 South Old Town Line. You can see in my picture there that that the sinkhole had been filled by Mr. Butcher here before my arrival. If you go to the next page in my report, it actually shows the hole that was there. Those are pictures from Jim. I think he was just using a nearby tree branch to kind of show how deep.
The residents did that.
Okay.
How deep was that hole? It's like 3 feet.
And so trying to figure out what the cause of that hole was. If you flip the page from there, on the north side of that road. So picture one here, trying to give some perspective. You can see South Old Town Line in the background. You look down to the left from there, that's where picture 2 is. And it's kind of dark in there. Picture 3 is zoomed in version of picture 2. And you can see a busted up stormwater pipe that's in there. This is right where the tornado that came through the past hurricane. Right in that area. So there's all kinds of fallen trees around that broken stormwater pipe. Picture 4 is just looking across from the other side of the road. The top of the picture was where I'm standing. So I believe that has something to do with what's causing the sinkhole, is some sort of stormwater drainage issue. The last page of my report are the pictures that we got. The town's contacted state utility contractors. Dustin Wagner with them has been out there, did some additional investigation. And that picture on the right side here is a picture he provided. You can see, I was looking down the stormwater pipe in question, and you can see sort of the top of that pipe. There's in a couple spots, looks like the pipe has been busted up in some way, allowing what looks to be light through it. Dustin thinks that this may have been caused years ago from a cable line being installed. It's hard to tell. Maybe just showing its face now. So he believes that's what's kind of causing the problem. He's going to do some investigation and repairs in the area and try to get that thing fixed.
So, like Jeff said, was good at, if the damage was caused by one of the utility companies, on the documented call when it come out once it's exposed, and they said they would have called their facility or they cut through it or damaged it. Most of the time they can't get reimbursed. But at the same time, you have to make sure that you do call that utility and have them there once you get it exposed and take your photograph. I guess you would agree with that.
Yeah, if it was more than 6 years ago, though, they're just gonna say it's too long, because covers it, nothing to do about it. I agree. I was laughing there, it's, they're gonna, sheer coincidence, this is where the utility lines cross it, right?
I read the reason I'm saying, if it's obvious that they did it, then they might, like you said, agree to reimbursement part of it, or also could. Then again, they might say, we put that in 10 years ago, and you can't come back to all of a sudden that's up. Jeff, on the, I know we're gonna replace the pipe under that. I think there was some comment about possibility some of the road drains being stopped up, or maybe possibly damaged. Have we got any assessment on that at all?
I've looked at it a bit. Can't describe it much more than that. And that it just looks like there's some clogged up pipes within the right of way of the road. I don't know. That's also a question from down the town. Historically, is only maintained the asphalt portions of this road. So the right of way is sort of more of a question.
Any commissioners have any questions? I think what we're saying, some of these roads when they were taken in, I think some of y'all are aware of that. on some of the municipal roads that we took into the town, just from asphalt to asphalt. We didn't take the easements in the town. And I can't remember, Lena, how was South Old Town line?
It's just the pavement, we did not take in the rights of way along South Oakland line.
I think what we have to do is, once we get that replaced, if we see there's gonna be some type of issues, we need to get with the property owners over there. And we need to have a chat with them. We'll take a look at it and see what we can do to work in conjunction with them. If it's just pipes stopped up, they can be cleaned out. And, we'll see what we can do to help out on that. But I hope we can work with them and see what we can do. So, you know, if they don't stop up and get that, the water's not flowing, we're just gonna have more problems down the road. Or if the pipes are getting so old, they're starting to collapse.
Yeah, and repair that.
Okay, any other comments? If not, we will move on. Just keep, if you will, just keep us abreast on the action that's taking place when they get the pipe replaced and everything.
Thank you. At this time, it's scheduled for this Tuesday. They will report back to you.
Okay, moving on under old business 8C, update on coronavirus actions. Anybody want to make any comments on that other than me? I think that most of y'all are aware of the last order that the governor put out, which basically extended, I think, everything for 3 more weeks before he's gonna look at it and readdress some of the issues again. So for 3 weeks, the order that was previously given is still in effect. You know, that's your social distance, the 6 foot, wear your mask everywhere you go. Don't congregate more than 50 people. One group is allowed. I tell a lot of people, when you look at this sector, well, it's kind of unusual because if you have any medical condition or issues as far as breathing, you're not required to wear your mask. But you got to be able to justify that. And that's in the governor's executive order. So with all the conditions there, we just keep moving on and hopefully in 3 weeks, maybe something will change. You know, they're predicting that the nationwide right now, I haven't heard the specifics here in North Carolina, but there is a rise in cases in North Carolina as one of those states. But I think with all the cures they have and everything that's happening now, the severity of it, but if I'm wrong, I don't think I am, the overall death rate has slowed, at least in North Carolina. And the hospitalizations have gone up some, but I'm not hearing that many people on ventilators. Mr. Long, have you heard anything different?
We've seen the increased merit that you just spoke to across the state. And then nationwide, we've seen what the Johns Hopkins website, which is our source of truth for nationwide statistics along with the Centers for Disease Control. We just, you know, I would just share as you share there, the social distance, wear the mask, make smart choices, and don't take unnecessary risks.
So just be cautious, follow the guidelines, wash your hands. I probably like to wash my hands and get chapped so much, but every time we ever touch anything anymore, I put sanitizer or either wash it. But I think if we do that, you know, you're gonna stay safe. And if you do get it with some of the, even though there's not a vaccine out, they got a lot of other good, I forgot what they call this, medicines and things they can do now to circumvent the severity of it, even after you get it, even for old people like me. So that's good. And projection on the vaccination could come by the end of the year. Now, how fast they get it out, we don't know. We don't know the mechanism. I think they said they're going to use the Army to get a lot of this stuff out at a very quick pace. You know, the good part is us old people get vaccinated first, So good luck when y'all go, I'll be the first in line to get it. And one thing the Army taught me, if nothing else, they're gonna give you shots where you want them or not. So just take the thing, don't question. And I'm sure the CDC and our certifying people are not gonna let vaccines out to the public. It's gonna harm the public. I could not imagine them releasing a vaccine that would create havoc on the masses. So, if they follow protocol, they turn it loose. I think they've restarted, and I think they had a couple that kind of shut down because people got sick. They found out the sicknesses were not generated by the vaccine, so it's back on track. So hopefully, all we can do is wait, see, you know, these companies producing this vaccine, hopefully it'll be, get us back on track next year where everybody says we can get back to normal. And I think everybody will remember what normal is. So thanks for that. I think, any questions from other commissioner comments?
No, I just wanted to also just say briefly, cold flu season's coming. We get a social gathering here coming with holidays for Thanksgiving and Christmas and things like that, so it's really important to hear everything Mary just said. Just some comments.
Okay, moving on to 8D, is Ms. Harrington, can we get her online?
Yes.
Adrian?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
All right. Good evening, and thank you guys for having me tonight. I want to check and make sure everybody can hear me.
We hear you fine.
Wonderful. Well, I wanted to chat with you guys this evening to kind of continue the conversations we had last month about getting a Vision 2030 plan off the ground. And in the last month, Athena and I have been talking about how to, gather all the input from all of the great resources that we know that we have to develop this plan. And what we thought about doing was setting up two different committees that would be, kind of strategic partners in the development of this plan. And we thought we would set up one committee being a steering committee, and this committee would be comprised of other local government representatives, other nonprofits, community leaders, community members. And thinking about the invite list for this steering committee, of course, we wanted to, invite the Board of Commissioners and then the Planning Board as well. Brunswick County, they have several different departments that would like to be involved. The Brunswick Business and Industry Development, Homeowners Association leaders, maybe the Wilmington MPO, NCDOT, and we would also be interested in getting some input from you guys. But this steering committee, would really be focused on exactly what it is that you want, this future downtown area and this future park expansion to look like. So this one would definitely be focused on the vision of town officials and people who live here and people who work here. And then our other group would be the stakeholder group. And the stakeholder group would consist of private interest groups that may be potential public-private partnerships in the future to actually bring the town's vision to life. And we wanted to invite, of course, the Board of Commissioners again for the stakeholder group, as well as the Planning Board. I found a connection with the Hilton Family Hotels, so maybe their representatives, H2Go, Brunswick Electric, Duke Energy, any developers that you guys have in mind, or any other private entity that would kind of complement what this stakeholder group is trying to do. So that's kind of what we thought about as far as trying to gather, this input and have these great conversations to create this plan. But I wanted to ask you guys, and it's kind of hard for me to see everybody there, so if you can, maybe we'll follow up with an email too. But I wanted to see what you guys would be interested in participating in. you can do whatever you would like. If you're like, oh, this sounds great, I want to join both committees, that's totally fine. If you're like, I'm not going to be able to do this, you will still have plenty of communication updates regarding the development of this plan.
Well, I think it's great, but I'd like to look at it a little bit and see how much time I can give. I mean, I'd love to say I want to participate in both. I kind of want to look this over a little bit more and kind of what's sort of. This is a great idea, though. I think.
Sure, that sounds great. And something that has been a little bit tricky that I've been thinking about in the past few weeks is how to get this input, whether it's from the stakeholder group or the steering committee, how to get this input during a pandemic. Normally I love to have these, input meetings where, there's maps everywhere and the markers come out and we get all these ideas and everything on the table, but that's probably not the best idea right now. So I do envision several more, even like a YouTube video that's like, hey, can you please watch this YouTube video and then follow up with, taking this survey. So we are going to be doing things a little bit more remote and with some social distance, guidelines in place as well. And in the handout that I believe Athena gave you guys, I have a list of really kind of what I see the responsibilities being for each one of these committees. So if you guys have any questions, you're always, more than welcome to reach out and ask as well.
Adrian, I think you got a great starting point here. Like I say, we got to absorb a little bit of it, have a chance to kind of brainstorm the ideas, but the format you have here, I think, is very workable. Probably a great idea because these people, the mechanism here, we need these people to push this forward anyway.
Yes, sir.
I guess the best thing is we get a little bit of time to think about it. Then we'll have to talk with you on a plan. If we come up with a plan on how to start putting these people together from these different groups.
Sure, that sounds great. And Athena and I can follow up here shortly and we can continue the conversations.
I think that's great. I appreciate the hard work you're doing. Appreciate you giving us this format also, because this is what we need, Adrian, and your expertise has been outstanding. We really appreciate you.
Absolutely, and thank you guys.
Any other comments? Thank you, Adrian. We'll be in touch.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. I think for people that haven't been here, I'll just make a couple of comments. We're trying to move forward. We got the virus going on, everything that's happening, but we're also looking at the potential growth for our town, this area, to add to our communities, to make pretty much the town kind of self-sufficient, but at the same time, the biggest concept you hear people say a lot of times, I hate going across the river. I hate having to do this. I wish it was over here. Well, everything we got across the road and what we do have left is that concept that we're looking for and trying to evolve into. We think next year is going to be a good year. And if the projections go forward, we're going to have some great things. And I think the people in our town and our community is going to like it a lot. And everybody's working hard to get to that point. There's some good news, and I hope after the first of the year, or maybe before the first year, we can announce some good things that's going to happen here in the town. I think everybody's going to be very happy. There's no other comments. We move on to item 9, the regular agenda. Street renaming Old Blackwell Road. And I think what we're talking about is this little extension off of the curve there, starting Circle K, I think from our sign back to the road. About renaming it. So, Madam, you want to make any comments on it?
Just wanted to say that Budget County 911 has requested that we make safety reasons. They've recommended Old Blackwell Road. You can name it anything that you would like, but if that sounds amicable for you, then they will go ahead and accept that name. It has not been taken yet.
So we're just talking about that little short section.
That was a result of the realignment that took place back in 2009. It's a 0.30 of a mile section.
Do you have any suggestions, or you want to take the town manager?
What's your boulevard?
Uh,
What's your boulevard?
Mike Allen and
Mike
Express
Allen.
Well, we got a little humor. We'll leave, just if the board doesn't have a problem with it.
I second Mike Allen.
On Blackwell Road, I think that'd be nice. We leave that, y'all don't have any issues with that, do you? So we just direct you to go ahead and do that. Thank you, gentlemen. Dead end road. Okay, moving on to 9B, transportation update. I can make that fairly short. We skipped over one of our MPO meetings. Some of the issues that will be coming up, basically, will be real fixed right now. That's not going to really affect us right up front. It'll be quite a ways down the road. Like I say, by the time that we're building, I will not be here. But we'll not be Springfield. But something has to get in the process. You know, the way the railroad runs there, major issues there, traffic control and everything. So basically, line, a lot of traffic comes up here, which is a lot of environmental impact, studies that have to be done. So, see it happen fast, it just put the mechanism in there to get the ball rolling. Most of the projects on the highways, the DOT still has issues on their amount of money and finance to go for them. Those projects have been pushed back to 1 or 2 years. Even our projects, we've got 2 here on 33, they've been pushed back. Some of the major projects now are having to wait as money comes in, and then have to decide which project those funding go to. Till they get, right now, they're trying to work out the mechanism how to increase the highway fund. With WMPO, we had to vote on some of the ways that we thought money to be appropriated to increase the DOT money. I'm going into the like, I'll call it, most of us know that. But we're trying to find a mechanism now, this idea of how to increase the flow of DOT. Progress is going on. Like I said, right now, I think until this virus is over with, disaster we had with state, everything down. Everything's been done. And I'll keep y'all updated. We do have an input meeting. Right now. Okay, moving on to item 10. Okay, on the closed session. Next item is in the session. 3-1183. The consultant with the attorney for the litigation at the lead person Belville from the county, also P&B session 1184. Discuss matters related to the location of industrial or other business served by the public body. That motion for the closed session. All in favor? All opposed, 9 ayes. We will be out here. Have a motion to come back into open session. While we're in committee, we had a discussion on the, annexation of the road and dedication, involving Greater Pool, and, Mr. Let me say the end of it. That actually owns the road, which was dedicated to us for taking in, but this has got to do with the construction and paving of the road and us taking it in. With also a petition that Gregory Poole, has decided, to come into the city limits of the town of Belville, which we think is a great thing in a partnership with that. We hope, through the talks and everything, we know that, we want to go ahead and, I'll put a motion up. I think we need a motion to go ahead and accept this. With a condition, we do have one piece of road on Gregory that still has to come into the town limits. We're working on that. I don't think there's gonna be any issue with it. It's just, it may, I don't know what kind of time frame you're looking at.
Well, my understanding, that portion will not be part of that, what's dedicated under this contract. That one's beyond the intersection with Backhoe Road. So that's really an issue when H2Go wants it fully dedicated all the way back to their property. That portion is beyond Backhoe, so that would not be part of what we would be paving and dedicating.
Okay, nor would you,
They're agreeing to pave the part.
To and through the intersection of Backhoe. The part that Mr. Exum owns.
The part that Mr. Exum owns. That was the way it was explained to me, and I hope that we're all on the same page about that.
so we on that, we go ahead and accept the agreement then, that won't be a condition.
We just want you to know, Gray,
Yeah.
that, that piece has not been annexed into the town, so the entire road cannot be accepted by the town until.
No, all we're asking is for the portion of the road that Mr. Exum owns.
And that your clients agreed to fix.
And that we've agreed to fix, which is through the intersection and the culvert for drainage on the other side of Backhoe. That's the description.
Okay, we can go ahead and, I think our agreement is on that also, and I don't think that's gonna be an issue.
Mayor, we're gonna have to pick up a few little typos in here, like, for example, the parcel ID. I'm not quite positive that's exactly right, but other than that, my understanding is the board's gonna agrees in principle to this, and we'll just clean it up and get it back to you for execution.
So we'll go ahead and make a motion tonight to go ahead and accept the economic development annexation, road dedication and agreement. And we'll get the final thing, we'll sign it when we get it cleaned up and get the corrections done. So I have a motion on that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your patience.
We should be, I'll work with Mr. Blanchard. It should be within a week. We need to get a legal description from Bert Exum's attorney, but those typos will be easy to clean up, and we'll have it to you for execution probably next week or so.
I think just reflect, and I know you will be talking very good forward to the leadership. We appreciate it. Thanks for coming. Petitions come into town. We know it'll be a good partnership.
Something to consider. I heard your consultant talk about stakeholders that had an interest in the town and other large employers. Consider Gregory Poole as a company that would be interested in participating in that process, perhaps.
I think so. Thank you for that. We'll relay that to them. We will relay it to them also. Okay, if nothing further. I don't think there's no issues on here. I have no, excuse me. Anybody have any comments? Commissioners?
I just, you don't know yet the site.
You have you done all kind of new town fine, so get an opportunity, get some feedback on it, pretty soon we'll have everything's not around it, it'll be lit, we'll get flag poles behind it, it'll be right. So,
That's right at the beginning of
My children have seen it and they like it. It's very good.
It's a another great day. Now, since we've been incorporated since 1977, you come in and turn into town, we got a nice welcome sign there that tells you where you're at. Once it's illuminated at night, you'll get it fully done. It's gonna be a nice addition to the town. And I think the town people are gonna like it all. So, no other comments, any comments from staff?
Just that the, landscaping that you see there now is temporary, we just let it go.
Please reach out to
I want to say thank you to the board and to the town staff for the parts that were recently delivered for my birthday and for Boston Day. Very much appreciated. Thank you. Yep. 23 to the 23rd. Appreciate all the hard work everybody does, staff, and I have a motion to adjourn. All in favor?